Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Smith of the In the Black VTF here at T3 Live with this week's market wrap up. And what a week it was. And you've heard me talk about this before, and you witnessed it again. Basically, what we saw this week when people are wondering, how can this thing keep going and going and going? It's something we call a simultaneous break. And you've heard me talk about it before. I'm going to show you a few other ones. But basically, what occurs is, and it oftentimes happens right at the beginning of the month, is actionable signals to me are inside bars, variations of the inside bar, reversal strats when they get countered, candlestick hammers, and shooting stars. And so what do we get when I say simultaneous break? That means as soon as we hit into Tuesday, almost everything triggered to the upside. You had a Monday head faker, and that's what really got them. February 29th, right here. They said, oh, no, they're going to go down and fall apart. And then we came in March 1st, boom, straight to the upside. And what I mean by simultaneous break is everything triggering to the upside. It means almost no signals triggering to the downside on a monthly or weekly basis. So we had the inside month for the S&P Spider. Boom, inside month goes up. You had XLE, inside month and up for the XLE, XOP, OIH, the Dow Jones Diamonds, all going inside month and up. You had FAS taking out monthly hammer. You had IWM taking out monthly hammer. You had the crude oil firming up and staying tough there. With the XLE, you had the APC going month and up. You had APA month and up. You have APA. There we go, APA. And good old buddy Apple. So everything breaking to the upside on the monthly basis, and because of the way we set up last week, and remember SPY did this last week, people were like, oh, it can't keep going last week because it started doing this and coming up, and they thought, oh, that's going to be it. That's going to be the top, and it's going to drop in. But because that previous week we closed out near the highs, up in here, that even on this down day, more weeklies triggered to the upside than triggered to the downside because the weekly lows were way down here. So we already had weeklies going in force. And if you look at the SPY weekly, here's another thing I talk about is the momentum hammer. And so what that looks like is a hammer within the trend. You can get the hammer off the low like you did here, but within the trend here. And what that represents is that anybody was short, they had their shot down in here like, oh, it's going to roll over, I was right. But when it starts popping back up on them, the shorts are all setting right here. We know there's going to be plenty of stops up in there. And then if you combine that with the natural buyers that we can expect during these equilibrium breaks, when the inside months break and the inside weeks break to the upside, double dose of the upside for the SPY. And that was really nice. If we take a look at some momentum hammers that we saw this week, one of the groups that really got them going is XME. And XME here, might recall in the market wrap-up a while back, I talked about that inside week here and being positive on the year, and a lot of good things came from that. You had FCX, here was the inside week, and then so if we go to back to what the momentum hammer looks like, here, hammer near the highs, boom, FCX explodes. Letter X, momentum hammer here. Even on the 15 today, a little bit in the crude oil USO, if you go to the 15 here, starts coming up towards the highs. And once again, anybody trying to call the top, when it comes down in here, all these shorts think they called the top. They're good. Guess where the stops go? Right there. And if you combine that with natural buyers, you get that explosion like that. You also had it in the small cappers, IWM on a 60-minute today. Right here. Strong trend, strong trend. Oh, it's all over. We can stay short. Want to bet? Bam. Right here. And the next bar explodes to the upside. So we had a combination of momentum hammers and all of these actionable signals going up towards the to the upside on the monthlies. Have we seen this before? Let's go back to the SPY. You bet we have. You got it in October. And remember, oftentimes that when you have this big haymaker like you did in August, then you go inside month. It's either got to be a rest and take them out, or it's an exhaustion back up, and that's what we saw here. We also saw it in January, not on the monthly basis, but if you remember on the weekly basis, when we came out to open the week and the year and the month this year, we're in a reversal strat setup in almost everything. Here, this inside bar countered with a shooter. And so when we triggered this on the gap, that got everything going right out the chute, which got January going, and then you get your inside February, and then you come back up. So very similar there. Saw it in October, saw it in January, we're seeing it in March. So the thing is that we have to reconfirm all this stuff, because although everything that did trigger to the upside, it wasn't as broad based as you might think. If you look at QQQ, what's the matter with this? Look at this. Doji, doji, doji for the last 3 days doing nothing. So that is going to have to change. So either that's an indication that there's some more internal weakness than we think, or that can start to turn around. And what was causing all that? Google. Look at that. Amazon. Yeah, nice rally. Doing nothing. And on a sector basis, IBB. What's up with that? Is it doing nothing? If you look at Regeneron. Here, doing nothing. BIIB, doing nothing, going down. So, we want to look at that, and even VRX here, heading into the turlet, and obviously there's news there. But if we take a look at GILD, it's still pig, but you do have your inside week. And so whenever we see a move like this, what we want to start looking for is what's going to cause this market to continue. Certainly the commodities and the XME, I mean, we had ridiculous moves off the lows of a lot of these commodities and like Seadrill and all these things that have been really beaten up. But how far can that really take the market if we're not going to be completely broad-based? So financials acted well. And then, like I said, a lot of those oils coming up. But if you look at the big boy oils, ExxonMobil did nothing. ExxonMobil's an inside week. And so if the crude oil is really going to follow through, we want to see how the big boy oils do, not just these crappers coming off the lows. Chevron is an inside week, and Chevron's also an inside week, inside month combo coming into next week. That would be really important. If you can take that monthly equilibrium here, triggered by the weekly, that would get a few things going. It's also in the Dow Jones, both of them are. And big boy oil, Oxy, also does nothing and stays inside week. If we go to the trannies, the question is, can the trannies rally with the oil? This week they said yes, and once again, momentum hammer weekly for there. Like I said, simultaneous on a lot of these things, momentum hammers to the upside. And then coming into the next week with things like Delta, inside week, stayed inside week, Union Pac, here inside week to see if that can keep coming up, CSX, Rail 2. So we want to look at that. If we go to the Dow Jones, you can see Home Depot did nothing. Inside week for Home Depot. You also had in the Dow UNH inside week, and we can watch that with the other healthcares. You got Cigna staying as an inside week. You've got Aetna. We can take a look at that stuff. Excuse me. In the financials, another thing didn't do nothing. Came up a little bit, but that was early. And look at this Visa. 3 days completely within inside this bar's range. So that's got to change. With the IBB, you can look at XLV. Doing nothing. What's the matter with these things? But all right, we're going to find out because it goes inside week for the XLV. So to me, the way I look at things is that first we have the monthlies, and mostly monthlies are biases to the upside, without question. So, but each week, that's got to reconfirm or negate. So if some of these inside weeks start going to the downside next week, then we start to see in some conflict, and we can start to see the digestion and trying to really pick out which way we're going to go. But should all this stuff start reconfirming to the upside, this is also the stuff that's going to fuel the next leg. So we want to pay attention to all that. Certainly, we had gold, nice move there, still hanging tough there, going toward the highs with the crude oil. And so we want to see if we can have the commodities rally with the stock market, and once again to see what kind of follow through we get. But if you're thinking that we're overbought, you're looking too micro. If you look at what I'm showing you here and you break it down sector by sector by sector, there's still sectors underperforming that aren't going. There's subsectors of the big boy oils that still have yet to go. These can either fuel the rally, help to fuel the further the rally next week, or help to kill it, and that's what we're going to keep an eye on. All right, that's going to do it for this week. I hope everybody took advantage of the good volatility and certainly some big, beefy percentage moves in some of those commodity stocks. All right, everybody have a good, safe, happy weekend. I'm Rob Smith in the Black VTF here at T3 Live with today's Market Wrap-Up.